My mom started hearing voices. Then she kind of started like seeing this entity like in behind her in the mirror.
Josh's mom was a channel. He grew up with his mom being a channel, and this is something that people don't really talk about.
A lot of this happened when we were very impressionable.
And your mom was basically like her facilitator, her protector, because when she left her body, like it was scary. It sounds crazy saying it like on a microphone.
You tell some of this stuff to someone who doesn't understand it. Social services become take you away, or they institutionalize your parents, you know?
And you're coming home to this circle of a seance, of this channeling session.
She ended up channeling multiple entities over the course of her life.
Which is how you began, as one soul, all of you, one soul.
It was like witnessing a miracle, but it was totally secret. I couldn't tell a friend at school a whole part of my mom's life that was like so important to me that I just didn't share with anybody.
It sounds like the majority of her life you had to keep secret.
Her last dying wish was, I want you to finish the book. I need you to get it out into the world.
Welcome to the Acid for Squares podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Dahl.
And I'm Cody Blue, and if you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, rate, comment. We appreciate the help immensely. And on today's episode, we have Tanya's old friend, Josh Woolf, who is a producer and creative. And we also have his cousin, our first time meeting, KC Haxton, who is an artist. Thank you both for being on. We appreciate you, brothers.
Thank you.
So this is so interesting because Josh and I met when we were in college, even though we both came from Santa Cruz.
Film school,
but we met in film school, and Josh never told me about any of we never spoke about the woo. Even though I was like seeing ghosts and shit, so I don't know how we didn't talk about this.
Well, you weren't talking about it either.
Apparently not. Yeah. Josh's mom was a channel, and he grew up with his mom being a channel, and this is something that people don't really talk about. And in the book, your mom even talks about how she kept it kind of hidden, and she was like a little nervous about talking about it. She was nervous about writing the book, even though she was doing channeling work.
Yeah.
But can you tell me why you felt kind of ready to talk about this now?
It's interesting. I've been kind of open to talking about it for a while. Just there hasn't been a platform to do it. And I don't know, kind of going back when my mom wrote this book, she started before she got sick. She's not with us anymore. And the book basically got finished right before she passed away, the writing of it. Mm. And her last dying wish was to me and my cousins and my sisters, I need you to get it out into the world. That was like, I want you to finish the book and get it out there. So my cousin Aaron, Casey's brother, we had a design studio together, and he actually spent like over a year formatting the text in the book and getting it out after she passed away. So that was like a mission. So through that work, I was always really open. And at that point I was working, and if it ever came up, I would talk about it. There wasn't like a specific time to do so, you know?
Yeah.
We're bearing the lead a little bit. So first thing is the book is called Siddhartha and Mary.
Right.
And the thing that is most different about this book is it's a channeled text. Mm-hmm. So, which is something that is highly misunderstood, but it's one of the things me and Tanya are most passionate about, which is destigmatizing and demystifying the archetype of the channel and the work that they do. So can you explain a little bit, what it was like, what it was like to see your mom who had this gift, whether it was discovering this gift, doing this work, sort of the human experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to go back to like 1987, six. Yeah. We lived out in the desert, and there's like a long line of like spiritual history in my family that I've kind of understood after, 30 something years later.
Doing some digging.
But back then, back in the late 80s, there was kind of like this whole sort of revival happening of like channeling and psychic and energy and stuff like this happening. And we moved to Santa Barbara and there was this group happening where there was a channel. And my mom kind of started learning from that experience, and your mom was already going there.
She went with a friend of hers and thought that my father would like it. My father was hugely spiritual. There was this guy named Miraji in Malibu.
Miraji?
He had this. He was not a channel, but he had a following, and my father devoted his time building structures on his property and lived in a van at the base of the hill on the PCH. And that's how my mom knew my father was going to be into this, and his mother as well, her name at the time was Kim. Ijia happened later. And we ultimately, both of our families ended up moving into this home in Montecito that was connected by this hallway. And so we kind of consider each other kind of brothers and sisters, even though we're cousins, because this very condensed spiritual and familial time that we had was only maybe a year and a half, 2 years, but it felt like a whole lifetime. Yeah. We refer to it as if it was this other realm. And it was very short, but super condensed, and that's when
yeah. So your mom started going to see this channel and brought my mom in, and after that, like, things kind of started happening. My mom started hearing voices, and kind of thought something was going on. She consulted Casey's mom and said, "Look, there's something going on. Like, I'm hearing voices. Well, it might be like your blood sugar." Let's work on your blood sugar. So like we started doing like spirothene and then she kind of started like seeing this entity like in behind her in the mirror and like on a fence and like places. Well, now I'm seeing stuff. And so because they were already involved with this kind of community, instead of being sent to a hospital, it was like, no, this is like something's going on. And they started to really dig in. And this whole time period was like her kind of learning about this and getting better at channeling and getting more information. And essentially she would meditate and like go off to school. And she would learn things wherever she was, where she was meditating. And she basically got all this information she learned from this other channel. And she ended up channeling multiple entities over the course of her life.
Because she said that she had trained for like 20 years or something like that before writing Siddhartha and Mary.
Yeah, I mean, there was the meditation side of it, and then there was learning to channel. So basically the first entity, kind of a funny name, but the name is Tang, this entity that came to her. And it was like this little Chinese man. And it sounds crazy saying it like on a microphone, but
it's not crazy here.
This man named Tang.
We're all mad here.
So it was kind of like her way to like understand the frequency and understand how to ground herself in what channeling is, because a lot of people don't understand, but it's like it could be really hard on your body. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was a way to like ease her into what channeling was. After Tang kind of started that, and it started out like not as a full body channel, she was just receiving information. Then it went to an entity named Saraswati, which she called Saya. When she first started getting information.
Saya. Because there was two entities, wasn't there, at that time?
Yeah.
Indra
came later. So Saya was like, she was like the most friendly, most amazing. Everybody fell in love with Saya, just like her charisma and character. Like there's stories that we could talk about. But so Saya came. And it was really quiet at first. And so she heard this voice as Saya was coming in. And in her meditations in this like place that my mom was going to basically learn, she saw this like woman figure on a bridge in her meditation. And then like slowly this like figure came closer and closer until one time she introduced herself. And when she did, it was a really soft voice. So my mom thought her name was Saya, but it was Saraswati. And so that's where this Saya came. I don't know if you even know that, but that's where Saraswati came from. So it was Saya for years. During this time, my mom was like trying to understand what was going on, kind of like playing with the idea of channeling just for herself and for your mom. She held like a small circle in this little town that we lived in just to like kind of get herself out there and try to like look like there's a miracle happening. People need to see it. And then that turned into her and your mom basically traveling up and down the coast of like going up to Seattle and Portland. Yeah. And your mom was basically like her facilitator, her protector. Cause when she left her body, like it was scary, right?
Yeah.
Like you need somebody there to like be with you.
For sure.
You have to feel safe to fully surrender to the experience, for sure.
Right.
We were just listening to Josh had recorded a conversation he had with my mother, and he was asking her about some of her experiences.
I'll tell you some of the tricks Saya pulled on her. Saya was great with me. She was a great teacher. I was talking to her one time and she said, next trip, bring a pair of very sharp scissors and don't tell Kim. We're in Seattle. Your mom had this long, beautiful hair. It was really long. She leaves her body. Saya comes in and does the whole teaching. And then she's like, okay, did you bring the scissors? Oh, we're going to cut her hair. I was like, oh man, she's going to kill me. Anyway, so your mom comes back in her body and she's like pissed. That witch.
Oh my gosh, the violation. Like, but what was the lesson of it? Like,
the lesson is to just surrender and trust me, and trust the process.
And there was this period in time when Saya was trying to get people's existence and minds and hearts wrapped around the idea of letting go and trusting. And Saya would leave Ijia's body in very inopportune times, like in the ocean,
Like to
or
mess with
standing on a beam,
Just to like teach her a lesson.
And so my mom was there literally like to catch her.
Wow.
If something like that were to happen.
The best one, because
Yeah.
Saya would come into
Yeah.
her body. We're jumping right into it right now.
It seemed like Saya was like a teacher almost.
Saya was
for
a teacher
channeling.
for all. Like
yeah.
I would think of Saya. I think we all would as like our aunt. Like she was like, she taught me everything. Like as a kid, like that was my guide. You know, I mean yours too, probably.
Yeah.
Between my mom and Saya, it was like those were when the lessons started.
Okay, I want to
this
I want to go into.
I know there's a lot.
What was
No,
it
no,
before
this is perfect.
it's amazing. Before we dive into what was actually said and stuff, what was it actually like though as a child
It was
seeing this happening?
super. Well, no, in the moment it was fantastic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like witnessing a miracle. And we were already in this time of our life between Montecito, like you were saying how special it was, and then like just like there's this whole like very special time. But it was totally secret. Like I couldn't tell a friend at school. I couldn't, like, there was nobody I could talk to about it because nobody can understand. I did once and I got like, it was a very bad experience.
Like your mom didn't want people to know?
I think I was like in elementary school, I think I was like around 10 and I had this really good friend and I didn't know he was Christian. And for some reason, like it just, we were hanging out in his property and like I just decided to tell him. And he was like, wait. And then he starts going into, well, would she know about like the Ark and Noah's Ark? And like, I'm like, oh. And we're going somewhere else with this conversation. And so anyway, so the conversation happened. I get home from the play date and then my mom gets a phone call from his mom. And it was like, and so I got a talking to from my mom. And it was like, look, like not everybody understands what this is. And I know you've grown up with it, but like we have to be really careful about who we talk to about this stuff.
And we were just talking, or I was just saying in the car earlier, just reflecting on what it was like to be a kid. A lot of this happened when we were very impressionable. And so you're at school learning multiplication tables, and then you're coming home to this circle of a seance, of this channeling session. And you know it's real. It's not a problem deciphering reality, but it's having an issue with deciphering what is and what isn't, you know, like Josh telling a friend and trying to create community in some way. I had many similar experiences.
I do understand that though, because I grew up seeing spirits. And so I remember like telling people and they'd be like, that's so scary. What are you talking about? And I'd be like, okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this with people because it would definitely be something that people are like, I don't want to hear about this. This is freaky, or makes you like feel weird about it. So it's the same sort of situation.
Yeah.
Did you see creepy crawlies or slitherers?
What?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So a lot of times in childhood, there's two different kinds of like spirits that a lot of kids see. And a lot of them are like creepy crawlies, like they look like spidery figures. And then other ones are more like snake figures.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, mine
And
were always people.
When I was, this is before any of the channeling stuff, when I was like probably I was in preschool. I was like waking up like every single night, and I told my mom, and she was like, "Are you having nightmares?" And I told her, I was like, "No, I'm waking up and I'm seeing stuff like in my room." She's like, "What is it?" And I was telling her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, some people see creepy crawlies, other people see slithering things."
Wow.
And it's like a thing. And she had to like tell me all about like, it's just something that happens to some people. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means you're like sensitive to certain types of information.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's so fascinating hearing about, you know, your experience of having to be closeted with this, which is a very isolating experience.
There's more to it. There's more closeting.
And, Well, and you
More
know, and
levels.
we understand that personally, and it's definitely, you know, I mean, you tell some of the stuff to, you know, to someone who doesn't understand it. Social services will come take you away, or the institutionalize your family, your parents, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's also really fascinating the Christian orthodoxy, because so much of this archetype and this path is essentially the underpinnings of Catholicism. The prophets and I'm sure the path Christ walked was doing this type of work, but the way the church is sort of structured is essentially like, no, these miracles were only for them.
Yeah.
You know, they're not for these people. This can't happen today. And if you are one of those people, it's like you're a witch or you're the Antichrist or you're messing with the dark arts or something. And it's a grand irony that sort of these traditions are sort of the underpinning of the major religions, but they are also condemned by the major religions. But you also said that there was more to the
Well, I was going to say,
closetedness.
so I mean, this is like kind of outside, but as far as having to keep stuff to yourself growing up, like skipping a few years, my mom ended up leaving my dad for a woman when I was like 13. So now I'm talking
Same.
like, yeah, and your mom did too.
Same.
So like
wild.
and this is like in the 90s, you know, I'm in my 40s now. And at that time it was like, it was not okay. Like it wasn't something you talked about. Like I couldn't tell anybody because that was just one more thing that I had to keep secret, right? Like it was in the times I'd always tell people, like, my mom moved to LA and I was visiting her and her girlfriend, and we were all walking, and I like have a specific memory in Venice, like walking and somebody like spitting at them.
Oh my
and this is like in the
God.
90s, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to keep that secret too. So it was like it was like a whole part of my mom's life that was like so important to me that I just didn't share with anybody.
It sounds like the majority of her life you had to keep secret.
Well, yeah. I mean, later in high school, like it was fine. Like it became cool. Like at
Yeah.
a certain point, it was like, it was cool. But like, yeah, for a while it was a little rough.
And maybe secret is
It wasn't a
heavy
secret.
word.
It was just like, keep it to myself so I don't get shit
just
for it.
kind
Yeah.
of there's home and there's
Yeah.
not, you know.
Was it like this for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. By the time, let's see, the way our childhood went is basically up until we were about 7 or 8 years old, we were all attached at the hip as a family.
In Montecito.
And then Josh and his family moved to somewhere near Yosemite, and we moved up to Oregon. And my father was deeply entrenched in, and still is part of this spiritual community up there. And so
Another channel. Yeah.
another channel.
Your father's a channel?
No, my father was part of a group of people that practiced with a very specific channel at a center. And
Very cool.
so on the weekends, I'd go stay with Dad at the channeling center, and there was tigers and stuff. It was wild. That's a different podcast.
It's a wholly different podcast.
different podcast.
It's probably a documentary.
But then I would, then I would go home and I'd go back to Mom's house in high school, and then my mom was with a woman, and you know, we'd be skateboarding, and I'd go, oh, you know, my mom's friend is at the house, and my friends would go, oh, your friend's mom, right? And you're insecure. You're 14 years old, going, I don't know how to hide this, but my mom didn't care about hiding it. She wasn't trying to keep it. Neither was your mom. They weren't trying to be clandestine about it. But again, like, you want to be cool in school. It's a hard thing to manage, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all like background though of like the important information.
Yeah. But it just makes sense. I was just trying to be like, oh, there's a lot going on that inside your world at that time that most kids aren't going through. you know, especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
It is interesting to relate the two. I was working on a movie about abductees, and the producer used to call it the new gay. She would call it all the time.
It kind of is, yeah.
So, I mean, these are just fractals of taboo. And, you know, and yes, maybe like being gay is more in vogue or more accepted, at least in the West.
Yeah.
Let's call it in America.
Yeah, not everywhere.
But this is, you know, we often say that our interest and passion with channeling and mediumship, our passion comes from the fact that we view it to be such a suppressed, misunderstood, and demonized archetype or a subset of people that most people don't even know it exists. Yeah. That's how underground this all is. So what was coming through, like what the messaging was, but I know you sort of just spoke to two teachers. So is there, and her book is Siddhartha and Mary.
Right.
So
that was later.
When did Siddhartha or Sid?
So this information didn't start coming about until closer to 2009 or 10, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was a couple years, this process.
That's about right.
So this is interesting, and I think it kind of mirrors your background, actually. So in the book, this man named Mitch, be a great person to talk to sometime too. But Mitchell was a student of my mom. My mom would have like classes, basically. And people would come and get to hear the channeling, and there'd always be kind of like a structure to it. And Mitch got invited by his girlfriend at the time to come check it out, just like everybody's invited by somebody at some point. And he is an engineer. He's science, Catholic background, but pushed away from the Catholic community as he got older. And he was just blown away by the information. Never experienced anything that felt the way that it did. I mean, like you guys know, but just to explain to everybody else, like when you're with a full body channel and that's doing this, the room feels different. Like it's like there is a different frequency happening. Like you
feel it
fully. It's like being in a room full of fog. Like it's thick.
That sun, Christ consciousness, is you. In fact, is you. In fact, as one soul, which is how you began, as one soul, all of you, one soul, unindividuated, unengendered soul.
And so when you experience it, I mean, tech breaks. Like people would try to like record her, and the recorders would just break and fry. Like electronics wouldn't last. Like
that has been happening to
we
us.
have
We literally
mediums on
have
and
mediums in here. All
breaking.
the equipment's breaking.
Yeah, it happens. She felt bad about it, but it would happen all the time. So Mitch was like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring some science into this thing. I'm going to bring my recorders and I'm going to like document it. And he became one of her like greatest students. When she started kind of getting some new information, she was channeling Sid first. From the book. And through Sid was working with Mitch a lot. And at a certain point in time, it was like, well, do you guys like want to be a part of a project? Like Sid kind of presented it. And Mitch was like, yeah, let's do this. And he kind of plays, he's being not a skeptic in the book because he's not, but he's like asking the questions that anybody's going to ask. Yeah. So through the course of the book, you get to have the experience of learning what it's like to be around this sort of information and channeling. And to get back to what you were saying, like as far as what the information is, so much of it is about being in your presence and controlling your ego and understanding what ego is in this world and really understanding how important it is to be on this earth at this time as we're going through this shift.
I think everybody should completely have agency to get whatever they get from this book.
It's interpretation.
But for me, I respond to it, I mean, for obvious reasons, but also it's unvarnished. It's not a story about, I say in the car, Joseph with the lamb and the two children and the fire. Every page of this book, there is somebody receiving that information and putting in their, inputting their ideas in between these beautiful like sections of text or voice from either Sid or Mary, or there's other special guests in the book as well.
And by the way, Sid is Siddhartha, which is Buddha. And then Mary is Mother Mary. So Jesus is mother.
Yeah.
And that's who she was channeling.
She's a clean channel.
Yeah.
It's very clear. And it's interesting that somehow an intermediary or a channel can be more direct than reading a 10,000 or 5,000 year old, scripture or, and it really is more direct and to the point. If you can get past the idea of a trans medium, I mean, just look at it. And she even says, if you have a problem, just look at it as fiction and see if the information is useful for you.
That's right.
I was told and this is like, let's go back like 20 years. I was told that at the time when she was channeling Saya, and this is information from Saya, that there was probably only 6 full body channels in the world at that time, period. Like that were actually doing it for real. And it's probably grown by now. I'm sure that with the changing of where we're going with things, everything's always kind of changing. Saya was only ever channeled by my mom, according to Saya. No other human has ever channeled Saya. Indra has at that time had been channeled by 6 different human beings at the same time.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or 6 different over time, I should say. So, and I had lots of questions about that. I was like, okay, so how does that work? Does that mean if I go over to see somebody else channeling the same entity, like, are they going to know me? No, it doesn't work that way. Like the imprint, the information is on the person doing the channeling. There is no like memory. There's no ego attached to the entity. This is information. It's a frequency coming in from somewhere else. And like, look, I don't know exactly what it is. You don't know exactly what it is. It's really difficult to say as far as how we've grown into understanding everything. But it's information that's coming for a reason, right? And it takes the embodiment of like these sorts of characters and that sort of energy that exists. So sure, Siddhartha, Mother Mary, the information's there, but I don't know if it's like, we're talking about like historical figures. I don't know where like the line is of like real and who and what. I really don't know.
Well, I believe there's a part of the book, maybe it's in the introduction. You guys might be more fresh on it than either of us, but either Sid or Mary at some point says they intentionally came together because they're from 2 completely different devotions or religions. Yeah. And the design of this book is to bring a holistic nature to some kind of consciousness or spirituality. Yeah, and that's on purpose.
Yeah, yes. They say in the book that essentially these names hold a very specific vibration and will create a certain amount of attention and notoriety through this channel. And that's why we come together. And if it sounds like these are contradictory forces, we've always been together, and that comes back to everything being one. Yeah, and we've always been together, and you just, from your human cultural perspective, see them as separate, but that's what we're here to heal. And that is like the fundamental thing of the book. It's beautiful. Truly is.
Also, by the way, everything in here was recorded with an actual voice recorder.
It's verbatim.
So this is verbatim. It exists. They're walking through parks and they're out. And so that you'll hear like birds chirping and water and kids laughing. And sometimes it's kind of hard to hear, but this was like painstakingly like typed up verbatim to the actual recordings that we have.
Wow.
So the most fascinating thing we see from our own experiences, we have loved ones that channel, and it's an art form and it's a developed skill.
It's a devotion for sure.
And it's a path, and you get better at it and better at it. And it tends to be one's ability to completely remove themselves and step out of the way, or heal their own trauma so it's not distorting the message. Did you ever see your mother's unhealed trauma get in the way and that she had to work through it to become a better channel?
I know that she did. Yeah. I know that that was definitely part of it. And that was some of the teachings that happened with some of the earlier, like Saya was that way with my mom. They all were, but it wasn't something that I saw personally. That was done like on her own, meditating and like working in her own. Something that should be said is that it was an agreement early on that my mom would never get anything monetarily out of this, would never be famous, would never, it was never going to lead to anything that would better her, not better is the wrong word, but that would like change her life in any way. It was on purpose that she worked with the people that she worked with one-on-one, and each one of those people had a purpose that went off and did its thing. I mean, you'll read in the book, but like, you know, she bartended, she like worked at Whole Foods. She like, she was with the people. And I think that's why everybody loved her so much. She didn't have any sort of like guru syndrome at all. It was like out the friggin' window.
This is actually something that I wanted to talk about because your mom talks about in her bio about how she was bartending and she would like kind of ignored her gifts and she was bartending, but then she was just basically like channeling messages for a bunch of drunk people. And she, by the way, she's very funny.
Super funny.
But it's really interesting because she mentioned something that we've talked about a lot on the show and we've had a lot of guests talk about, where you have a purpose, you have a mission, you have gifts, and you can ignore it as much as you want, but it's just going to get louder and louder and louder until you finally pay attention. You're like, you know what? I surrender. I give up. I'm going to do the thing that I keep being told that I need to do.
Look at where we are right now. Like, hey, Josh, can you guys get this book out before I pass away? Like, absolutely. We'll make sure the book's done. 13 years later, and now we're like still talking about it on a podcast to get the message out. I'm like, if you need this sort of information, this is a great place to go. And by the way, like, I'm not getting money off of this either. This is not like a promotional thing. This is like specific people that need this sort of information. This is a good place to go for it.
I need to speak to that bar, but because people, that's something that people weaponize against people that take this path. There is no glory. There is no money. There is no fame.
No.
And maybe in the future, but not while you're alive. There's nothing. It's a thankless job, and we know the most notorious channels in the world. We will not name them, but they're not wealthy.
Yeah, they're not.
And this is not, you can't get work elsewhere if you're doing this. You've essentially have ostracized yourself. Like it is so difficult, and it is so uncomfortable channeling. It is so draining channeling. It's fatiguing how it opens you up going out into the world, it sensitizes you in a way that is truly it bothers me that people. It's just a thankless path. It's a beautiful path.
I think that there's been a couple people that have kind of screwed it up. Because there are people that have used it and probably not been authentic, or well, I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I'm just saying, like, in the genre. There's been people out there that have tried to make money off spirituality, lots of them. I mean, and it's kind of made a bad name for it, because when people are authentic and coming out with information that needs to be heard with a purpose, it doesn't get looked at as well, which is why to get that clean information, I think that's what was so great about what my mom did. I was talking to one of her students yesterday, because I was just like trying to have a couple conversations before coming here. And he was like, what was so, by the way, he came from a shamanistic background. And then he started to study under my mom. And one of the first things that Saya told him, or it might have been Indra, was you have to stop all journeys while you're working with me. You can go back to it later, but for the time being while you're learning this, it's completely cut off. But he was saying what was so amazing about her was that she had zero of that. It was just a hang. It was just like being with a human being that had this information, and you were learning so much along the way.
But there is a stigma also around people that are spiritual being able to make money. And it actually is something that really, really bothers me, because people dedicate their entire lives to learning this information and fine-tuning themselves and all this stuff. Why is that any different from somebody that works a normal job? If you are able to spend your life doing something that has a purpose, like, why shouldn't you be able to? It's not like you need to be like the richest person in the world, but being able to like survive off of it. There's like this strange thing that I feel like is slowly being dissolved, but it's still out there where people think that they're not supposed to make money off this stuff. But the thing is like, your mom's book is really important, really beautiful information in there. It could help a lot of people. Your mom would love it. You guys spent a lot of money making these books and putting these out there. It's like, of course she would love it if like, oh, Right, they're making their money back on this thing.
And I want to add to that, Josh. For the record, me and Tanya have spent thousands of hours holding ceremonies, doing healings.
Always for free.
Never taken $1.
Yeah, never.
It comes out of our pocket. We pay for the mess. We never even make people pay for it.
Wow.
So we walk that same because we come from the trauma of used to being scientific materialists that thought there was charlatanism in here.
I think there's a lot of ways to make money. And I think that there's certain people that can make money on the path of what this business is. I think that if you were the head if you're the person speaking and if you're the medium, if you're the channel, then making money for that specific task can muddy the waters. I think there's plenty of other places you can make money in the spiritual realm. Like, look, make them off the ads. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about in general. Like, make them off the ads for the podcast, make them off this, make them off, starting a business, whatever. But for those channeling sessions, for those journeys, I don't think you should. I think it's okay to have that like differentiation and clarity.
And not to be too negative, but I have firsthand experience of when commerce and spirituality kind of converge, because you have the channel and then you have the entity or the energy or whatever makes you comfortable or whatever sits right with you. And what I've seen is that the engagement with the entity and the status of the channel themselves muddies up the waters, and all of a sudden there's then kind
you have that worship mentality
applying to kind of the incorrect point, and then you have a human bringing commerce using the entity. You have this person that's been come up, and they're wielding so much power over the followers or the participants, and it can get spooky.
There's so much to be said around this, between the perversions of commerce and around all of this. But the message is to, and what we're here to talk about is too important to get lost in that.
Yeah, sure. I agree.
And so I want to take us back to center, because you mentioned something earlier, almost that you did preparation calls essentially.
Yeah.
So what came through to you, because it sounds like you thought about this a lot, that was the single most important thing to share about your mom's work?
I only made a couple calls. I called this woman, Gina, who was like my mom's right-hand person. She had a lot of experience while I was like out in college, and like I missed a lot of parts besides the phone calls and the holidays. Like there was a big part of her like growth in what she was doing that Gina was there for that I wasn't. So I wanted to kind of understand those gaps. And then I called Casey's mom, my Aunt Terry, to
shout
understand.
Out, Terry.
Yeah, shout out. She's the best. To get information on like filling in the gaps of like the magic that was around like when this all first started back in the Montecito days. You know what it is? It was something that happened on your guys' podcast recently, and it's the same message that I got from Gina and from these like conversations we've been having. And remember going back to a different episode of this show, but there was a woman that came on and spoke about her near-death experience.
Yeah.
Anita.
Yeah, she was great. And it was probably the best thing I've ever heard from this show, actually. Was she was talking about coming back from almost dying, and she didn't need to mess with any of the spiritual side anymore. It was just about being here on earth. At least that's how I like perceived what she was saying. And I got the same message from Gina too. It's like, you have all this information. It's so amazing. And it's coming from these different frequencies, and it's all about like understanding your ego and learning how to like train yourself to be the best person you can be on this earth while you're here. And at the end of the day, like it's really just about having these experiences on this planet, being grounded. That, I think, being grounded and having experiences here and love is all it is. That's it.
I remember it was something your mom said to, I think we were all in the room together.
My mom came down and did like a little mini retreat with just us, like family.
Cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was in Hollywood, and we were living in Franklin.
We did it in an apartment Josh and I shared, and then we did it in an art studio, and it was really, I don't know, it was real. It was cool. It wasn't like in a candlelit like thing. We were just like hanging out. We were hanging out with Indra at the end of it, and Josh and I were so
shooting tequila and channeling.
We got done with this session with Indra, and Indra was still in his mom's body, and we were standing by the fridge, and there was a bottle of vodka in the freezer, and Josh and I were so vibrationed out,
meditating all day,
and we're looking at the vodka, and Indra goes, "Well, hey man, if you're gonna be about it, line them up." And we did we did shots with Indra, and then Indra was like, "Peace," and then left the body, and his mom was like, "Were we drinking?"
That stuff happened a lot. Yeah. But the question going back was like, what's the one learning? What's the one takeaway from everything?
Well, something really simple and beautiful maybe wasn't an experience as much as an idea that your mom shared with us was, it's very simple and it's kind of everywhere, but how she said it was remember that we are all spirit first and we have bodies. We're not bodies and we have spirits, and remember that you are the marriage and the culmination and the creation of heaven and earth coming together, and to walk around with that. Don't get lost in your humanness, because you're half the other thing, and it's your birthright to be so. You don't have to strive to be both of those things. This belongs to you, and all you have to do is open the blinds.
Beautiful. There was something said when talking about sort of like the highlights of what the book talks about. You were encapsulating a very deep and wise text, but you mentioned about this particular time on Earth, and the book goes back to it, this time of great change. Is that something you could elaborate? Because I feel like all of us right now are feeling this great change, and I feel like it's hard for a lot of us, you know? Can you elaborate on the teachings of the book and just this moment in time, what it talks about?
Well, I feel like we've gone through a couple of these periods. Like, I think that just looking it back just at like the most recent 100 years, there's been a couple like gradual like learnings that have happened. Like if you're going back to even like the 40s to like the 60s, 70s, and then you get the 80s and you have like this whole new wave of like channeling and spirituality. And now I think that everything has gotten so open and everybody's able to sit and have these conversations and talk about it. And the medicines are helping people as well. We've been waiting for this moment when this information is all coming out. And this book was just one way to get information about the who and what we all are. That's what we've been trying to get to the bottom of this whole time, right? It's an awakening. It's the ability for all of us to have this shared frequency that we can tap into, and it helps your life while you're here. You know, it helps ground you in what this all is by having a little more understanding of like the spirituality around us. And whether you believe this stuff or not, the information that you get from meeting somebody in person or having your own experience and then brushing it away like it never really happened, which I think happens a lot for people. I think we're all capable of this stuff in our own way. And because we have the information around us so much, maybe you won't brush it away so quickly, because we can all have and we can all learn these things for ourselves. You know, the information's simple. It's not complicated. It's like you said, it's like, let go of all the problems and the earthly stuff and just like remember that we're all just people being here.
Towards the end of the book, there's a lot of more topical things, I think. I mean,
please share. Yeah, whatever.
There's a really beautiful chapter on water and that we need to take care of our oceans.
Oh, right.
You and I have talked many times about as far as the fortune cookie aspect, like this is going to happen, then this is going to happen kind of spirituality. Their timing isn't that great. Like
I don't think any psychic's timing is great.
Like, I hear it explained with timelines.
Right.
That we have free will and there's, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's hard. You're just reading timelines. That's at least what I'm told.
But kind of speaking to the more topical things, I think what I've made peace with for myself, instead of going, well, that didn't happen when they said it was going to happen, I go, well, those are maybe the only myths in the book, because even though they're based on reality, there's still lessons in there to go, okay, it's my opportunity to be sensitive and available. Like this one about the water and the oceans, you know, that's probably always going to be a topic in our lifetimes for sure. Taking things that are very specific and allowing it to just be more of a broad lesson.
We're trying to get into specifics about there's so much information in here, and like not wanting to like do a disservice. But I think the biggest takeaway is like having an experience in the process of reading the book and having like an awakening along the way. Like this isn't something that you're going to sit down and like read chapter to chapter and be finished. It's like, it's going to take you a year to like get through the information. And that's why it's hard to kind of like talk about, because there's so much depth to it that it's like, there's not one thing. It's like, there's so much, like coming at everything from like water to like, it's
relationships,
learning how to meditate. Like
there's prayers in there.
Yeah. Like it's a lot. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, I also, everything gets mixed up because like my own learnings from my life, and then I have the lessons like from one-on-one learning with my mom or these entities versus like reading the book. So it's like all kind of conjarbled in my brain. Yeah.
Well, we don't necessarily, because I wanted to touch upon it for our listeners so they know a little bit about what they get. But what's most important, why we were really excited, is it's the love of your mother and the love of your aunt and the humanity of actually witnessing somebody through the joy and the struggle of walking this walk, because it's a very multidimensional experience and navigating this. And, you know, that's what's cool. And me and Tanya talk about having a kid, and, you know, we go, how weird is this kid going to be? You know what I mean? Like we sit in our, like we have
it's the best. And I could speak to that. I have 2 kids, and it is like my biggest struggle to try to like ingrain the amount of magic that I felt growing up to make them like understand what that feeling was. Like we talk about it all the time. Like, how do we get that magic back? And I over this last year, like I've gone pretty deep in like kind of resetting my life. And I was telling Casey on one of our crazy phone calls recently that every single day it's my goal to ask for proof of a miracle. Not because I don't believe that it's true, not because I need it, but because by asking for proof every day, I'm manifesting, getting to get those little nuggets of magic in my life every single day that hopefully I could help pass on to my kids. Like we used to sit in a restaurant when I was with my mom when I was little, and she would say like, look, take the glass of water and like think about lemonade, think about lemon, and like force yourself to believe that it's lemon so that when you taste it, it tastes like lemon water. Like it's silly, but like
that's cool.
That's the sort of stuff. Like I was doing that with my daughter this week. She's 13 and all her friends are like into like little witchy stuff, right?
It's that age.
And and I was like, you want to see some real stuff? Like I'll teach you how to make clouds disappear.
Yes.
So like stare at the little piece of the cloud and don't let go until it disappears. And granted, these are all just like meditation practices, really about focus.
Spoon bending.
Yeah. Oh, my mom used to bend spoons.
So much.
No
Really?
way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell the story.
Have you seen it?
Well,
yeah, we've done it.
My takeaway from the spoon bending was that is spoon bending real? Is Uri Geller, was he the guy?
Yeah.
In the 80s that he was on TV and he'd like turn it into spaghetti and stuff. Is that real? I don't know. But it was a meditation and a focus, and I remember
it was less about the bending. It was more about the focus of it and being in a place where you could sit there and you could make yourself believe how easy it was. Like we would take and you'd meditate on the spoon, and you could take and you could literally go and you could do a full loop but it was a meditation practice. It wasn't a can you bend a spoon practice. It was about the focus.
Did you just say you could bend a spoon after focusing on it though?
Well,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, so it's like what is it like? It's like
we're not talking about like a thick spoon. We're talking about like a restaurant spoon.
That's a
like
spoon.
Look,
It's still
I wish we had time to do it together, but basically you sit there when you don't meditate and you don't focus and you go like this, and it's gonna feel hard.
Yeah.
It's like a mentalist trick on yourself. You're doing your meditation, you're looking at the spoon, and you just feel it. And at a certain point, like it's like your muscles play a trick on you, and you could do it, and it looks effortless.
You mean
but you're doing it.
It's not the spoon that bends; it's you.
You're bending the spoon.
Right,
it's
the
just
Matrix.
Well,
right. And there's you're looking at it, you're kind of rubbing it.
Yeah,
you're kind of building a little heat, and then you're kind of staring at it, and something it's like the moment, and you go, oh, now, and it just like goes.
Yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
The craziest.
Oh my
one-
gosh, my mom would have she had buckets of mint spoons like in her kitchen and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
The craziest one was your sister. She lives in New York and rides the subway and works in restaurants. So she always had a spoon on her that she would just bend it throughout the day. And she, a spoon, the bowl of the spoon.
Yeah.
She flattened it.
I've seen it. I don't remember her talking about
Flat, like you couldn't do it with brute force.
With her mind, she flattened it?
I'm
sure she
just,
touched it.
She
Yeah.
touched it. She put it in her back pocket, but like the bowl, it's concave. It's one of the strongest structures, but she flattened it. Never got to that level.
Whoa.
But
okay.
I have a quick story about my mom that comes from like the beyond.
Yeah.
All right. So a friend of mine, my good friend Jack, was shooting a supernatural show.
Jack Osborne.
Yep. And he had a psychic on. It was Cindy Keza. They're in the middle of a production in Studio City. And I was at my house in Santa Monica. And I just get a phone call from Jack in the middle of the day. It was like 4:00. And this is back in a year or two after my mom passed away. It's 13, 14. And he's like, hey, I'm doing this show, and this psychic is trying to do the show, and she had to stop the production and ask us if we knew anybody named Josh. And I'm like, yeah, I know a Josh. And so she's like, okay, well, somebody won't leave me alone. I have a message for him from his mom. And this woman doesn't know my mom passed away. This woman doesn't know anything. She's just a psychic doing a TV show. She's fantastic, but no preparation in this. There's no reason for it. And so he calls me. He's like, yeah, this psychic has a message from your mom. He says you need to find the pendulum that she made you. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, do you know what that means? I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what that means. And the Christmas before my mom died, she made me this actually I'm wearing it. She made me this beaded.
Let's see it.
It's different now because it broke and I had to rebuild it. But she made me this it's just prayer beads, right? Huh. But when she gave it to me as a pendulum.
Let that hang out, baby.
Yeah, that's cool.
She made it as a pendulum. And so, but when she died, I put it in my safe and I just didn't wear it. It just went away. And then he was like, yeah, she says when you find it, you'll know what to do with it. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly what that means. And so I went into my safe and I pulled it out, and I've been wearing it ever since.
Oh,
But how wild is that?
That's so
that's
cool.
the kind of magic that I want to bring to everyday life.
That's real magic, baby.
I want you
love
to
it.
make
Keep
a
calling you baby.
I want you to make a
Your mother coming
chandelier
through.
out of those spoons. That'd be such a cool chandelier. Just a
That is
ton of,
cool.
She used to make mosaics, and she would work the spoons into her mosaics.
Oh, that's
they're
cool.
hanging around the house. Yeah.
Well, Josh, okay, so since your mom had this gift, a lot of times this passes down through generations. So have you ever thought about getting into channeling, or just bring it? Because then you would just automatically bring that magic
That'd
into
bring some
your
magic
kid.
back.
For me, it's not about getting into it. I think that I have my own practices that I do for myself, but I'm not bringing entities in. I think a lot of times stuff comes through in my writing. When I'm just free writing, I get stuff. I had a really close friend pass away this year, and I just had full on conversations, just writing, and I would write his responses to my questions. And I just sat there in my journal. Do I know if that's 100% real? I have no idea, but it feels good, and it's just part of me doing me.
Yeah.
But I have no desire to do it as a profession.
Yeah.
No, it's just whatever my exploration is.
We were talking earlier of kind of channels and creatives and artists. It's kind of a lot of artists call it the muse, and the muse is the giver of the information, and we are the tool. And if you can have that open as much and get yourself as much out of the way and just let the great beyond use you because you're available. That's it. To me, that's channeling because I'm an artist.
Absolutely.
To me, when you're in the zone and you're there,
Same with the writing. Yeah.
it is, and exactly the same. It feels like channeling. There's not a defined. My name is Tang situation going on.
Have you read Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art?
Oh, that's our favorite book.
Great book.
It is a straight up book on channeling.
Oh, he calls it the Muse.
He calls it the Muse.
I love that
and
book.
It's a beat by beat. And yeah, I do the same
it's a
thing.
beautiful book.
Yeah, as soon as, when it comes to making art, as soon as.
He lived in Santa Cruz too.
Oh, really?
For a time, it's written in the book.
Yeah. As soon as you hit that moment where you realize it's not you, and you step out of the way and you disassociate from you pull your ego out of the art.
Right.
That's how you hit it. Then you just got to start showing up and do whatever, light that candle, do that meditation, whatever. I just wrote a whole script doing this way, and and I wrote fast. I used to struggle to get half a page done. I was writing at one point 27 pages a day.
It was crazy.
I
was writing so much.
Meditate. I would do my whole ritual, and I open and just my fingers would fly.
That's awesome.
And then the studio would give me shitty notes. Still are.
Bye, LA. Yeah.
All right, boys, because we're coming to our time, I want to ask Casey, is there anything you would like to leave us with that you feel like is important to mention when broaching this topic before we close up?
I mean, I suppose mine is connected to Siddhartha and Mary, the book. And what I get from it is that the information is good, period. If you want to assign the information to a Siddhartha or a Mary and you want to iconify it in a way, great, go for it. If you want to just take it in as just really solid, beautiful life advice and teaching, it works like that too. I think the labeling of something, this has to be this or this has to be proven like this, like Josh said earlier, the feeling in the room when there's a channeling taking place is so unique. It's unlike anything else. And I can't tell you if it's real in air quotes or not, but I know it's the only place I've felt that feeling. And so is it real? That feeling is real. Is it specifically an entity? I'm not sure, but it's real.
And it's really happening.
Yeah, I think there's a chapter in here that's just titled Ijia's Meditation. And it's a meditation that my mom wrote. And I just wanted to read one little part of it that I think is really cool. Granted, there's a bunch of other parts that talk about her learning how to meditate before this, but it says, when you're in love and that feeling of anticipation that you feel before you see someone you love and who loves you completely and is happy to see you as you are to see them, or even happier, it's that feeling. That's the way I approach it. I'm meeting my beloved. Just that feeling puts you in that posture. Rolling the tongue back to ingest prana is a very old technique, and my teacher called it nectar. The reason is that when you do that and you open your throat the right way for the ingestion of the life force, what's happening is that life force actually has a taste. That's a taste that is associated with it. It's sweet, and it's sort of like sucking on honeysuckle. It tastes a little like that. So I think that was just one little paragraph of
Beautiful.
talking about what it feels like when you meditate.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Gang, this was really cool.
It was really cool.
Thank you both for coming on and being so vulnerable and humanizing this, because I do think it all comes back to the family structure. And at the end of the day, like, whatever you call it, whatever you label it, it doesn't matter. These are mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters that are having these experiences and that are having to navigate them. And it's beautiful the way that you supported each other through all of this. A lot of people are very lonely and isolated, and it sounded like you all had each other. And I'm sure your mom and your aunt are so proud of you too. And thank you for coming on. And hopefully a lot of people will hear this and they'll find the book and just it'll continue to get out there. But we love you both. Thank you.
You're doing really good
so
work
much.
for your mom, and she's like, oh hell yeah, good job, good job.
And I
Mom.
appreciate what you guys are doing so much, because bringing that like cool factor to what this was like so much of what her goal was.
Yeah.
And it's taken this long to get there. And I'm so happy that you guys have kind of taken the reins of what this all could be. And if you ever need anything or have any questions or ever want to talk to us, we're just a phone call away.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Josh.
we look forward to round 2, boys.
Please make sure to go check out this book by Ijia Woolf, Siddhartha and Mary. I can find it on Amazon, right?
It's just print on demand on Amazon. Yeah,
Print
you
on
could
demand.
go on Amazon. It looks for a couple of guys that do art and branding. The Amazon looks ridiculous, but it's a beautiful book when you get it.
All spiritual books and branding is always a little like,
Yeah,
It's clean. I like
you'll
it.
love it. You'll love it when you get it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We'll make sure to put the link below. And
It's like, subscribe, rate, comment, smash that notification button. Follow us on Acid for Squares at Acid for Squares. And is there any way they
Patreon
can
also.
follow? Oh yeah, also Patreon.
patreon.com/Acid for Squares.
Yeah, all the things. Do the things. Support us. Help us out. Join the
community.
The community. Is there any way they can find you, boys?
You can find me on Instagram at the letter K, the letter C, Haxton. And then I have a website under the same name, .com, kchaxton.com.
Yeah. JoshuaWolf.com or at Josh Woolf. And yeah, that's it.
2 O's.
Nothing else to plug.
All right, boys.
Two O's for Wolf, by the way.
Two O's for Wolf, correct.
Viva la revolution. All right, gang. Until next week. Bye-bye now. Love you all.
Bye.